Hello, sports fans, and welcome to the Scott Sports 101. I forgot to do the Sunday Night Football postgame show, so we're gonna call it Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football postgame show. We'll start with the Sunday night game, and I'm Scott Frella. Uh, Whenever this strong start to Minnesota winds up leading the Minnesota Vikings, it's clear that the belief and resilience will be responsible for the significant measure of success. Sam Darnold overcame four sacks, and three turnovers by throwing three second half touchdown passes. And the Minnesota defense made Indianapolis quarterback Joe Flacco's return to the starting role a rough one as the Vikings beat the Colts 21-13 on Sunday night, just a couple days ago. I'm sure Sam will be hard on himself for those two interceptions, but I'm going to stay aggressive with him because of my confidence in him, Vikings coach Kevin O'Connell said. Uh, Justin Jefferson had 137 yards receiving. Jordan Addison made a one-handed diving grab in the back corner of the end zone to get Minnesota on the board after a sloppy and scoreless first half. And Jalen Naylor had the tie-breaking touchdown reception to help the Vikings, who are now 6-2, top a two-game skid. The turnovers are nothing. Those are just a little minor errors that we can fix easily. Jefferson said, "We've got to protect the ball, just not try to make that big play." Sam is a phenomenal quarterback. Kenny Moore the second had a 30-yard fumble return in the second quarter. The only touchdown for the Colts, who fall to 4-5 on the season. In their first game all season that wasn't decided by 6 points or fewer, it definitely shows that if we could have made this one play here on this or one play here, or this one play here, things could have been different. Wide receiver Alec Pierce said Flacco replaced Anthony Richardson with the 2023 fourth overall NFL draft pick, struggling badly and becoming the self-created subject of a week of hot takes after taking himself out for a play last week because he was tired. The AP NFL Comeback Player of the Year winner with Cleveland last season after he came off his couch to help the Browns make the playoffs. Flacco went 16 for 27 carries and attempt passing for 179 yards and one interception. And coming in here against a team like this is going to be difficult, Flacco said, but I don't think you ever anticipate something like that. He moved the Colts to Minnesota, 40 uh, midway, uh, midway through the fourth quarter, facing a 14-10 deficit. But Harrison Smith, who recovered an opening drive fumble by Jonathan Taylor, broke up the consecutive passes to force a turnover on downs. Sometimes going through certain situations can help you grow. There's no growth in comfort, Smith said. I think we took a step in the right direction. Darnold, who finished with 28 of 30 for 34 carries and attempts passing for 290 yards, hit Josh Oliver for the game-sealing score with 2:05 left. That's not how you draw it up for sure, but we've battled through adversity throughout this year, and we do it in games as well, Darnold said. We've got a really resilient group. The Vikings set an NFL record 2 years ago by rallying from a 33-0 halftime deficit to beat the Colts 39-36 in overtime. And their first half was usually similar to that game. The convenient difference was they only trailed by a touchdown after limiting the Colts to 92 yards on 20 plays. Ricard, who started his rookie season by making his first 34 kicks, became the last regular in the league to miss by pulling a 53-yard field goal. Try right, then his 31-yarder bounced off the right upright. Darnold spoiled a promising first possession for the Vikings with an on the run across his body throw to T.J. Hockenson in double coverage that was intercepted in the end zone by Zaire Franklin. After Byron Murphy picked off Flacco, in the fourth quarter, Darnold gave it right back on the next play to Nick Cross, undercut, over eager to throw to Jefferson. The Vikings welcomed their two-time tight end Hockenson back from the knee that ended injury that ended his 2023 season prematurely. His third down catch that would have moved the chains, erased by a holding penalty on left tackle Cam Robinson, who was hastily acquired this week after a season-ending injury to standout Christian Darsaw. The Colts have a dangerous defensive line. No matter who's blocking, their pressure up the middle was a problem for Darnold. Grover Stewart was steamrolled center Garrett Bradbury on a drop back near midfield and dislodged the ball as he slammed Darnold to the turf for Moore to scoop up for the score. Stewart, whose forearm grazed Darnold's face mask with so much force that it knocked him down, was initially flagged for the hit. The penalty was waved off. Colts, now for the injuries, Colts line left tackle, Bernhard Rainman. Rainman had a concussion injury, was held out and replaced by rookie Matt Goncalves. For the Vikings, linebacker Blake Cashman had a toe injury and was sidelined for the third straight game. And so the Colts will have to regroup as they will take on the Buffalo Bills next Sunday as they host them at Lucas Oil Stadium. And the Vikings will try to get another win this coming Sunday as they visit Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. And right now, and I've got to give the game balls to for this one, I've got to give the game balls to the Vikings. Sam Darnold, 28 of 34 carries and attempts passing, 290 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Aaron Jones, I think that's who it is. I got to make sure I'm right on that. Aaron Jones, 21 attempts rushing and 64 yards rushing. And receiving, Justin Jefferson, 7 receptions, 137 yards. So we'll see what these teams do this week. And now for last night's Monday Night Football game. Well, Chiefs coach Andy Reid watched as the Buccaneers drove down the field in the final minute of regulation. And Baker Mayfield threw a touchdown pass that put Tampa Bay within a 2-point conversion of ending Kansas City's perfect start to the season. Bucs coach Todd Bowles admitted to giving very minor thought to going for 2 before kicking the extra point that sent the game into overtime. I'm glad he didn't, Reid said with a smile. Uh, that's because the Chiefs won the ensuring coin toss, and Patrick Mahomes capped a big day, 291 yards passing and 3 touchdowns on a gimpy ankle by going 5 for 5 on the only drive of overtime. Kareem Hunt finished it off along with his 106 yards rushing performance by plunging into the end zone from 2 yards out to give Kansas City a 30-24 victory on Monday night. Everybody had a piece of this, Reed said. DeAndre Hopkins had 8 catches for 86 yards and 2 TDs. Travis Kelce had 14 catches for 100 yards. And with Taylor Swift watching from a suite and the defense missing a couple of key players, injuries held Mayfield to 200 yards, passing and 2 touchdowns, and shut down a Tampa Bay running game that averaged just 95 yards. Excuse me. The result was familiar. The Chiefs won their 14th straight, leading to last season, the longest streak since Carolina started 14-0 in 2014, and they became just the 6th Super Bowl champs to start 8-0 the following season. They also have won their last 8 games when trailing in the second half, including the postseason. The Buccaneers had their chance when Mayfield hit Ryan Miller in the end zone with 27 seconds to go, but rather than go for the win, Bulls decided to kick the extra point, and the Bucs ended up losing for the 4th time in 5 games. We've got guys who are not going to quit fighting to the end, Tampa Bay wide receiver Sterling Shepard said. I'm really proud of the group and the way everybody fought. We've just got to clean up some little stuff, and that's what this league is all about. It was a memorable first half for 2 players who have been waiting to play in Arrowhead Stadium. The Bucks' Rashid White, Rahad White, I guess it's Rashad White, excuse me, grew up about 10 minutes away from a tough part of Kansas City, but his family could never afford a ticket for him to see a game. He wound up taking a circuitous path through Division II Nebraska, Keene, and California Junior College to Arizona State, where he eventually became a 3rd-round pick of Tampa Bay in the 2022 draft. 2 years later, White finally got into Arrowhead in the end zone. He punctured a 7-yard scoring run in the second quarter, which gave the Bucs a 7-3 lead by nearly tossing the football away all the way into the second deck. I can't even count right now, White said. When asked how many friends and family were watching from those stands. Then it was Hopkins' turn for his first home game since arriving in Kansas City from a trade with the Titans. The 3 all-time Pro Bowl who already had caught 4 passes at that point wheeled in a 3rd down heave from Mahomes amid triple coverage for a 35-yard gain that put the Chiefs inside the Tampa Bay 5. 3 plays later, Mahomes found him in the back of the end zone, and Hopkins celebrated his first TD with the Chiefs with a dance from Remember the Titans. That's one of my favorite movies, he said. I knew if we got to the end zone, I was going to remember the Titans. And that does seem like it's a fave of everybody, that movie. Tampa Bay tried to seize control with consecutive scoring drives to start the second half. The first ended with a TD pass to Cade Otton, the latest tight end to share the Chiefs, and Chase McLaughlin's 45-yard field goal gave the Bucks a 17-10 lead. The Chiefs answered in the fourth quarter, though. Mahomes marched them through the driving rain, 70 yards for the tying touchdown pass, which he delivered to Sam G. Perrine while landing awkwardly and tweaking his left ankle, and then threw a laser pick to Hopkins, third and goal from the Buccaneers 5 to give Kansas City the lead. Mahomes said later the ankle injury scared him more than it hurt him. He was checked in the sideline tent, but was quickly back to throwing balls in an effort to stay loose, and he never gave Reed an opportunity to pull him from the game. You feel the pain, and that scares you, Mahomes said. But I've dealt with ankles before, but I just kind of laid there, and as time went on, the pain subsided. I just kind of got to it and got moving again and felt comfortable going out there. Tampa Bay promptly went 3 and out after Kansas City took the lead, but its defense got the ball right back. And this time, Baker Mayfield calmly led his team down the field. He kept the drive with a touchdown toss to Miller, his first career TD catch with 27 seconds to go. And Tampa Bay elected to play for overtime. It wound up being a decision the Buccaneers would regret. Now, for injuries, the Bucs linebacker Yaya Diaby had a chest injury, briefly left the game. Cornerback Josh Hayes had a calf injury, dealt with cramps in the second half. For the Chiefs, wide receiver Mecole Hardman had a shoulder injury, and defensive end George Karlaftis had a hip injury, were hurt but returned to the game. And Tampa Bay will have to regroup as they host San Francisco, is coming off a bye week this week. And Kansas City will host Denver on Sunday this week. So, and I felt Kansas City played great. They are the only unbeaten team in the NFL right now. So we'll see how long they can keep it up. And I got to give the game balls to the Chiefs. And for this last week, my game ball, I got to give it to Patrick Mahomes. He is my player of the week for week 9. I'm going to give it to him. And right now, he gets a game ball as well. And he had a 34-44 pairs and attempts passing, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. For rushing, it's Kareem Hunt. And he had 27 attempts, 106 yards, 1 touchdown. And DeAndre Hopkins, he gets the other one, 8 receptions, 86 yards, 2 touchdowns. So, that was a great game between both those teams. Tampa Bay had a chance, but could not get over that hurdle in overtime. Now we've got for week 10, we got to kick it off. It's Thursday Night Football. The Cincinnati Bengals are in Baltimore to take on the Ravens at M&T Bank Stadium, and then we've got a whole day of it on Sunday at 9:30 a.m. That'll be in London. It is the New York Giants and the Carolina Panthers who will be playing there. And we haven't had one of those games in a while. It's at Allianz Arena, Munich in London, England. That is where it is. And then the 1 o'clock games will start with the Patriots are in Chicago to take on the Bears. The Bills are in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Stadium to take on the Colts. Minnesota's in Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars at Everbank Field. Denver is at Arrowhead Stadium to take on Mahomes and the Chiefs. The Falcons are in Mercedes-Benz Superdome in New Orleans to take on the Saints. The San Francisco 49ers are at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa Bay to take on Baker Mayfield and the Bucks. The Steelers are in FedEx Field in Washington to take on the Commanders. That rounds out the early games. And the 4 o'clock games, we have three 4 o'clock games this week. The Tennessee Titans are at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California to take on the Chargers. The New York Jets are at State Farm Stadium in Arizona to take on the Arizona Cardinals. And rounding out the 4 o'clock games, the late afternoon games, the Philadelphia Eagles are at AT&T Stadium in Big D to take on the Cowboys. And Sunday Night Football, the Detroit Lions are at NRG Stadium in Houston to take on the Texans. And Monday Night Football, and the Miami Dolphins are at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California to take on the Rams. And the Browns, the Green Bay Packers, the Las Vegas Raiders, and the Seattle Seahawks are all on their bye week this week. So, but I think it's good that the Browns do have a bye week because this will give them a chance to regroup and get work on some stuff that they need to. And so hopefully they can beat their next opponent. That's just about going to wrap it up for the Scott Sports 101 Sunday Night Football Monday Night Football postgame show. I'll be back with the Thursday Night Football pregame show before the game between the Bengals and Ravens and the postgame show to follow. But until then, always remember, be a team player each and every day in every way possible. So long, everybody. 3, 2, 1. I'm done.